Greetings from our channel again. The world's most beautiful woman, Julie Newmar, with legs that stretch from here to Chicago. Julie Newmar submitted a patent application in 1977 that permanently altered women's fashion. Her greatest secret, however, was not that. The 91-year-old original Catwoman is finally speaking out about the violent neighbor conflict that cost her millions of dollars. The terrible attack she didn't report. And why, in the height of her fame, she abruptly disappeared. For 60 years, she has been afraid to share this story. On August 16, 1933, Julie Newmar was born in Los Angeles. Julia Shaleen Newmar was her true name. Her life was surrounded by art, performance, and physical prowess from the start. In the 1920s, her father, Don Newmar, was a lineman in the NFL. He then rose to the position of head of Los Angeles City College's physical education department. He was committed to athletics, robust, and well-behaved. Helene Jesmer, her mother, danced in the renowned Ziegfeld Follies. She did more than perform. During her era, she was one of the most admired showgirls. She even had the most gorgeous legs in the Follies, according to comedian Eddie Cantor. Julie was raised in a household that valued expression and movement. Her mother's stage profession and her father's athletic background provided her with the ideal balance of creativity and discipline. From a young age, she was surrounded by dance, music, and physical training. Another distinctive cultural effect was brought forth by her mother's Swedish-French ancestry. Julie took it all in. She had a strong will to succeed, was smart, and was beautiful. She had already completed high school at the age of 15. The majority of youngsters were already making progress toward their futures and were still considering them. She took a trip around Europe with her brother and mother that same year. The encounter opened my eyes. She seen Italy's medieval splendor and Paris's magnificent theaters. She encountered several forms of music, art, and dance. This was more than a holiday. It was an in-depth exploration of the performing arts. It influenced her personal style, taste, and demeanor. After she got back home, she changed into the Los Angeles Opera's principal ballerina. For someone her age, this was no small accomplishment. Ballet demanded a great deal of self-control. It required mental and physical fortitude. Julie fully accepted it. Her skills improved with each performance. Her body was trained by each movement. She was learning more than simply how to dance. She was getting ready to perform for the rest of her life. Ballet, however, was just the start. Julie was passionate about education. So she went to UCLA. She pursued studies in French, philosophy, and classical piano. She loved culture and had a keen mind. However, after only 6 weeks, she sensed a stronger tug. She was aware that she was more at home in the performing arts than in a classroom. She bravely decided to drop out of school. She began working as a dancer and choreographer at Universal Studios when she was 19. Her true education was this. She wasn't merely acting. She was learning how to command attention on screen, how choreography operated behind the scenes, and how movies were made. Dancing was the beginning of Julie Newmar's Hollywood career. She danced gracefully and confidently in movies before she became well-known. Her performance in Serpent of the Nile in 1953 stands out as one of her most memorable parts. Wearing gold paint from head to toe, she portrayed the Golden Girl. Rhonda Fleming and Raymond Burr starred in the historical epic about Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Despite playing a minor part, Newmar's radiant beauty left a lasting effect. During those years, she played a number of short roles, each of which broadened her experience. That same year, she portrayed a dancer assassin in Slaves of Babylon, a role that implies more than simply grace. She made an appearance in The Bandwagon as well. She danced with icons like Sid Charisse and Fred Astaire in one of Hollywood's finest musicals. She was able to collaborate with some of the biggest personalities in entertainment thanks to these positions. She was already dancing and choreographing at Universal Studios at the age of 19. In addition to her talent, she was disciplined. Due of the intense competition in Hollywood, many performers were pushed to the sidelines. Newmar didn't. She stood out due to her remarkable beauty and attention-grabbing skills. Then followed the still classic musical Seven Brides for Seven Brothers in 1954. She portrayed one of the seven brides, Dorcas. Michael Kidd choreographed the film's upbeat dancing sequences, which Newmar's abilities were ideal for. She clearly belonged in front of the camera, as seen by every scene and movement. In the 1950s, Hollywood musicals were doing quite well. The scene had already been set by movies like Oklahoma and Singin' in the Rain. They were followed by Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, which had a vibrant plot and high-energy dance. Ballet, jazz, and folk dance were all combined in the cast's physically taxing dance routines. Even though Newmar didn't play the lead, her performance was sufficient to demonstrate her uniqueness. Was what she did next. She debuted in the musical Silk Stockings, which starred Hildegard Neff and Donna Mesh, in 1955. She portrayed the part of dancer Vera, which was a fantastic fit for her. Live performance was not the same as film. Only the crowd and the stage were present, there were no second takes or editing. Although it was difficult, she succeeded. She played the part that would define her Broadway career in 1956. In the musical Lil Abner, which was adapted on the well-known comic strip, she portrayed Stepiffian Jones. It didn't matter that her character didn't say much. Newmar ensured that Stepiffian Jones was memorable, as she was intended to be. Despite her brief 3-minute appearance, spectators were unable to stop talking about her. Her presence was praised by critics. She became the role rather than merely playing it. Lil Abner was a fantastic fit for Broadway's evolving scene. The standard was being raised by musicals like My Fair Lady and West Side Story. Lil Abner distinguished out despite having a lighter tone that was full of sarcasm and fun. Newmar's performance went down in history. She was requested to return to the part when the show was made into a movie in 1959. She continued to have success in theater after that. She faced a new obstacle in the marriage cycle in 1958. In a performance that combined humor and seduction, she portrayed Swedish seductress Katrin Sveg. Although she had always drawn attention, she was now demonstrating that her presence alone was not enough to keep the audience's interest. Then her career's most significant event occurred. For Best Featured Actress in a Play, she was awarded a Tony Award. It was a pivotal moment. She was more than just an impressive performer on stage or a dancer. She was famous. There was more to winning a Tony than merely becoming noticed. It indicated that she had come. It meant that all of the hard effort, all of the dance numbers, and all of the little roles had culminated in something greater. She had demonstrated that she was more than just a pretty face. She was capable of acting, captivating, and shining in any character she played. Her career kept expanding. She reprised her role as Katrin Sveg in the 1961 film adaptation of The Marriage Go-Round, co-starring with Susan Hayward and James Mason. There was a smooth transition from stage to screen. She had a way of giving every scenario, whether it was on screen or in real life, a sense of ownership. When she played Miss Devlin in the Late I Think of Cliffordville episode in 1963, she entered the Twilight Zone. Her role was hardly an exception to the show's reputation for odd and provocative tales. She delivered her lines with a serene and uncanny charm, portraying a mystery woman with a diabolical twist. The character stood out just because of her presence. Her performance is still remembered by showgoers, not only because of the plot but also because of the way she presented it. Another role was in the television series Route 66, which followed viewers as they traveled throughout the United States by car. She played Vicki Russell, a wealthy and daring woman with more to her than simply glitz, in 2 episodes in 1962. She wasn't merely there for admiration. She deviated from the conventional female norms of the era with her personality, wit, and sense of independence. It was evident from these early appearances that she was more than just a gorgeous face. She could make any character come to life. Then it happened. The television program My Living Doll ought to have been more popular. The show's premise was humorous and futuristic, and it lasted from 1964 to 1965. Rhoda, portrayed by Newmar, was a lifelike robot created to be the ideal woman. However, she gave the figure a lovely, even seductive presence rather than making her rigid and mechanical. Her training in mime and ballet enabled her to move in a way that was convincingly alien. James T. Aubrey, the president of CBS, personally selected her for the position because he knew she could make it memorable. She also did. She made Rhoda endearing in a way that kept viewers laughing by fusing humor with innocence. However, the show had issues. Due to its unfortunate time slot, it had to compete with one of the most popular television programs, Bonanza. Its chances were harmed by that alone. Then, after 21 episodes, her co-star Bob Cummings quit the show. He reportedly struggled with addiction, among other personal problems. And the show wouldn't be able to survive without him. My Living Doll still has a cult following today despite only having 1 season. Because Newmar gave a character who may have been one-dimensional something special, people remember her performance. It demonstrated her ability to make parts memorable. Batman followed in 1966. She became a legend in this role. When she took on the role of Catwoman, she transformed the persona into something quite different. Catwoman was just another villain from a comic book before her. She became an icon after her. Prior to being cast, she had never even heard of Catwoman. However, she understood exactly how to play the part as soon as she saw what it could be. She gave the character a flirty, humorous, and erratic personality. She and Adam West's portrayal of Batman clicked like clockwork. There was a light-hearted tension in each of their scenes that captivated viewers. She was more than simply a foe for Batman to battle. People wanted to see more of her as a character. Newmar's rendition of Catwoman was so well-liked that it influenced all subsequent iterations. Although the groundwork had already been established, actresses such as Michelle Pfeiffer and Anne Hathaway contributed their own unique perspectives to the part. She elevated Catwoman above the level of a villain. She gave her a charming, humorous, and lighthearted persona. Her influence extended beyond her performance. She even switched up the outfit. She believed it would look better sitting lower on the hips, although the original design featured a belt at the waist. It was a little alteration. However, it gave the costume a unique look. It gave it a sleeker, more fashionable, and more recognizable appearance. That choice became a part of the history of television. The Smithsonian Institution currently houses her original Catwoman outfit. It serves as a reminder of her immense impact on pop culture in general as well as the show. Julie Newmar was more than just Catwoman. No one else was able to make the character come to life like she did. She was trained in dance and understood how to employ movement to increase Catwoman's sense of strength, mystique, and danger. She was not merely reciting lines. She was making things happen. The sequence in which Catwoman attempted to woo Batman is among the most well-known from the Batman television series of the 1960s. She teased him while covertly plotting to poison him with her scent, moving around him as if she had total control. Her every look and posture change was precisely timed. However, no rehearsals were held. They were unnecessary for her. She had learned how to move instinctively and hit every mark without thinking thanks to years of dance training. That's what gave the scene its unforgettable quality. It was very easy. It was authentic. She choreographed other scenes as well. In another, she declared her intention to wed Batman while sliding over a railing. It was a ruse. A strategy to make him and Robin tense. One 3-minute take was used to capture the full scene on camera. It took confidence and accuracy to make that kind of shot, yet she did it effortlessly. She had a talent for making things appear effortless and organic, transforming basic motions into something fun, alluring, and memorable. Playing Catwoman wasn't easy, but her portrayal became famous. She looked stunning in a sleek black lurex cat suit, but it was tight and unpleasant. It was difficult to move because it didn't stretch much. She had a purpose for wearing the metal claws. Her hands occasionally ached from their weight. None of that, however, deterred her from moving forward. She felt that performing many of her own stunts gave the character a more authentic sense. She overcame the difficulties because she knew that every second spent on screen was significant. Despite leaving a lasting impression on the character, she did not return for the 3rd season. She was already working on another project, Monsieur Lecoq, a movie. The fact that the film will never be completed was unknown to her. She lost the opportunity to play Catwoman after making that choice. After that, Eartha Kitt was cast in the part, and she gave it her own distinct look. Love, grief, and resiliency were all part of Julie Newmar's life. She married lawyer J. Holt Smith in 1977 and relocated to Fort Worth, Texas. They wanted to have children, but the process was painful. Every one of Julie's 3 losses served as a terrible reminder of how fleeting life can be. However, she gave birth to her son, John Jules Smith, in 1981 when she was 48 years old. Being a mother after what she had experienced made his arrival seem miraculous. Altered everything. John had Down syndrome from birth, and 3 years later, encephalitis caused him to lose his hearing. Even if life got harder, Julie never thought of her kid as a burden. She referred to him as her greatest source of unwavering affection. Special needs children, in her opinion, are gifts rather than restrictions. She embraced John's love of painting and encouraged his inventiveness. Exhibitions even included his art, something of which she was immensely proud. Although raising John was an infinite source of happiness, it also caused stress in her marriage. Taking care of a child with special needs can be a daunting task. 3 years after John's birth, in 1984, Julie and Jay Holt-Smith got divorced. Julie was still totally committed to her son in spite of everything. To be the best mother she could be, she decided to put her job on wait. Julie had another terrible loss long before John was born. Peter Newmar, her younger brother, passed away in a skiing accident in 1962. His age was only 30. His death was unexpected, and none in the family anticipated it. Julie loved Peter. He was lively, attractive, and endearing. There was a lifelong void after losing him. John, her older brother, who had consistently provided her with a lot of support, was also greatly impacted. Julie was a rising star in Hollywood at the moment. In movies like 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, she had already established herself. She will soon play the most well-known part in the Batman series as Catwoman. Peter's passing was a wound that never completely healed, despite her increasing prosperity. Her career was greatly aided by her brother John. He knew she would be a great fit for the role of Catwoman, so he urged her to play it. Through all the highs and lows of life, their relationship remained solid. Love, loss, and the will to keep going were the defining factors in Julie's life. Julie Newmar's skills extended much beyond her role as Catwoman in the Batman television series of the 1960s. She was an entrepreneur who understood how to sell her ideas, a fashion-forward inventor, and a real estate investor who revolutionized communities. She wasn't merely portraying a character. In real life, she was always planning and developing. She developed a concept that revolutionized the underwear market in the 1970s. She saw that rather than highlighting a woman's curves, most pantyhose flattened them. She didn't get that. Instead of working with the body, why wear something that worked against it? She desired a design that gave a woman confidence by lifting and shaping her body. Cheeky derriere relief, she said. In 1977, she was granted her first patent. To get a more contoured appearance, it added a shaping band that fit between the buttocks and extended from the crotch to the waistband. It was a straightforward but astute concept. Her first patent was enhanced by her second. Its nylon and lycra blend ensured that the pantyhose would remain pleasant and supportive through several washings. She quickly started pushing her company, Newmar, which was named after herself. She has the charm and personality to draw attention. She gave a memorable description of her pantyhose in a 1977 interview with People magazine. They turn your derriere from a ham sandwich into an apple. The brand's identity was shaped by that one sentence. She did not, however, invent pantyhose alone. She also drew inspiration from Marilyn Monroe's carefree manner to create a brassiere with concealed straps. She desired elegant yet functional undergarments that would complement any ensemble without detracting from it. Fashion wasn't the only thing she was skilled at making and selling. She tackled a completely different task in the 1980s, real estate. Where others failed to see promise, she did. She concentrated on changing entire communities rather than purchasing properties only to sell them. At the time, Los Angeles neighborhoods like La Brea Avenue and Fairfax Avenue were having difficulties. Newmar recognized their potential, their history, and their charm. Rather than demolishing historic structures, she renovated them. She updated them for contemporary living while preserving their natural beauty. She thought a neighborhood should maintain its identity despite changes. Her efforts improved these neighborhoods' vibrancy and friendliness in addition to increasing property values. The original Catwoman from the Batman television series of the 1960s, Julie Newmar, had a protracted and tumultuous conflict with Jim Belushi, her neighbor. What began as a little disagreement over noise and property grew into a protracted legal battle. Jim claims that Belushi, who is well known for he said she distributed false information to harm his reputation and ruined his fence. In order to irritate him, he also claimed that she blasted loud music and spied on his family. Newmar had a different version of events. The true issue, she maintained, was Belushi. She couldn't unwind in her own house because of his noisy parties and incessant chatter. To drown out the noise, she even purchased earmuffs for air traffic controllers. She also charged him with altering the property. It obstructed her natural light. Their tension continued to escalate. Their neighbors chose sides. Newmar seemed strange to some. Belushi was viewed as a bully by others. When Belushi sued her in 2004 for $4 million, things became serious. He charged her with vandalism, harassment, and defamation. The court battle went on and on. According to Belushi's attorney, the case was too significant to be resolved amicably. Mediation was pressed by Newmar's lawyer. Nothing changed for months. Then, in 2006, an unexpected event occurred. The combat was abruptly declared to be over. In a bizarre turn of events, Newmar even appeared as a guest on According to Jim after Belushi dropped the complaint. It was a strange way to put an end to a conflict. Their rivalry remained one of the most bizarre neighbor disputes in Hollywood even after the dust settled. However, there was a darker side to Newmar's past. She had a horrible event early in her career while training at the actor's studio. The rigorous method acting skills used at the school were well known. The emotional boundaries of the students were tested. Things got out of hand at one rehearsal. She was attacked by her scene partner. It was startling and quite distressing. However, she remained silent rather than raising her voice. Actors at the time, particularly women, did not feel comfortable discussing their personal tragedies in Hollywood. It was uncommon for people to discuss abuse or mistreatment in the 1960s and 1970s. Even if an actor was the victim, scandal may damage a career. Like many others, Newmar didn't talk about her sorrow. Still, she continued on her way. She rose to fame as a result of her iconic portrayal of Catwoman. On television, she portrayed strong, self-assured individuals, but off-screen, she had experienced the less positive aspects of the business. The return of Julie Newmar as Batman's Catwoman. The return of the Caped Crusaders was a nostalgic moment. She was reunited with Adam West and Burt Ward in the October 10, 2016, animated feature. It evoked the same lighthearted spirit of the Batman television series from the 1960s. Together with the Joker, Penguin, and Riddler, Catwoman stole the replication ray, a potent gadget. Although the strategy appeared to be ideal, Catwoman had other plans. In an attempt to manipulate Batman, she employed Batnip to turn him against his comrades. However, things took a surprising turn. When the other criminals discovered she still harbored affections for Batman, they betrayed her. Everything that viewers adored about the original series was captured in the movie. The vibrant colors, the exaggerated battle scenes, and the absurd devices that Batman always seemed to have on hand at the ideal time. Prior to its digital release on October 11, it had its debut at New York Comic Con on October 6. On November 1, Blu-ray and DVD versions were released. It was commended by both fans and critics for maintaining the essence of the original series. After all these years, Newmar's portrayal of Catwoman was still a memorable one. She brought charm, humor, and just the proper amount of mischief to the role. Her performance in the movie paved the way for its 2017 follow-up, Batman vs. Two-Face. Unfortunately, Adam West died before it came out, therefore it was his last appearance as Batman. Speaking positively about the experience, Newmar said she enjoyed returning to the role and presenting Catwoman to a younger audience. Her impact went beyond Batman. She appeared in Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, a 1995 movie that honored her career in a most surprising way. Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, and John Leguizamo portrayed three drag queens in the road trip comedy Julie Newmar. An signed photograph of Newmar inspired the title of the movie. This served as a source of inspiration for the characters. At the end, she made an unexpected appearance as herself. She declared Chi Rodriguez the drag queen of the year in the last scene. It was more than a good time. Her appearance served as a link between the drag community and Hollywood glitz. The movie made $47.8 million worldwide and topped the North American box office for 2 weeks at a time when LGBTQ+ inclusion in mainstream movies was uncommon. More significantly, it paved the way for later motion pictures and television programs that embraced individuality. Newmar never allowed one role to define who she was. She took advantage of fresh chances and maintained relationships with admirers of all ages. She continues to be active on social media even in her 90s, expressing one's life experiences and opinions. She has a distinctive online presence. She manages her accounts alone, unlike many other celebrities. She communicates with fans personally, answering mails and giving supportive remarks. She and her partner, John, reside in Brentwood, and she frequently provides peeks of their lives there. One of her greatest loves now is gardening. She uploads pictures of her garden on a regular basis, showcasing rich foliage and colorful flowers. She has Charcot-Marie-Tooth illness, which damages the muscles and nerves, but she manages to stay active and optimistic. Rather than allowing it to slow her down, she makes use of her position to motivate others going through similar struggles and to promote awareness.